right now in order to get an understanding of how to approach repro questions regarding Menses. So what I did is I scoured all throughout Kaplan, UWorld, and Rx, and whenever they had a keyword that led to a certain type of diagnosis, I put it up here. So here's what happens. So you're going to see the word Menses in a question, and they're going to describe it in a certain way. Light, heavy, regular, or irregular. So this worked out for every single question so far. So just comment below if you notice any irregularities. But if you have heavy menses, there's three different possibilities that it can either be adenomyosis, von Willebrand's, or fibroids. I have adenomyosis down here as well, which can be an irregular painful as well. So adenomyosis simply is when you have endometrial tissue that is now getting pushed back into the myometrium. This is heavy menses, and it's also going to be painful. You can have von Willebrand's disease as well, but you have to realize that for von Willebrand's, this will be continuous. You're going to have ADP, you're going to have desmopressin issue, like you're going to be given desmopressin. You'll be like a young kid, probably most likely. Fibroids, also going to be heavy. The presentation for this, though, however, you're going to want an irregular uterus on presentation. So on physical exam, you're going to have irregular uterus. Not ready to go move up to light. Light's the easiest one. You're looking at PCOS. It's going to be 55-year-old female, growing hair, acne, PCOS. We're done. That's probably the easiest one. On serum, you're going to want to see an increase in LH, and this can cause amenorrhea as well. So you can have light or an ovulatory. Really up to what the question writers are going to say. And board examiners particularly like to also go for regular painful as well, and you're going to be looking at either endometriosis or middle smirts. Middle smirts I put in here, even though it's not really part of menses. This is actually going to be when you're ovulating, and then you're going to feel that little pain associated with when you ovulate. So it's not really actually during the menstruation, but you're going to get that pain in the middle of your cycle. Endometriosis as well. This is also going to be growth of the endometrial tissue and other spots attacking the uterus. So now we're going to go to irregular. And irregular was broken up into three different ways as well. You had an ovulatory, non-painful, and painful. Starting off with an ovulatory over here, you have like classic presentation, right? You have like exercise, person like working out. They'll probably give you a BMI. They'll throw the BMI at like, I don't know, less than 18.5, I think, right? Or 17.5. So they say like 17.5 or something, or 16. And then you're like, okay, red flags for exercise, stressed out, who cares? Stuff like this. It started in menarche. So this would be 12 or 13-year-old mom started menses when she was 14, or mom started menses at the same time, and it's not happening, and it's irregular. Start of menstruation. Near menopause, you need, technically for menopause, you need 12 months and ovulatory, but near menopause, you're going to have irregular cycle. Complex atypical hyperplasia. We're getting this in this is a prolonged estrogen without progesterone. You're going to get malarianogenesis, MRKH. The uterus in here is absent, but you do have ovaries, so you're going to get plenty of estrogen, so you're going to have secondary sex characteristics. You're going to have hair, which is different than CAH, or chronic adrenal insufficiency, CAI, where you're not going to have any hair because you're not going to be able to even make, you're not going to be able to respond to any of your androgens. Moving on, you're also going to have what else? Those are pretty much all the main things. Exercise, the issue, I'm going to jump back onto this, is disrupting the pulsatile GnRH from your hypothalamus. You're going to confirm an ovulatory with a progestin challenge. That's what you're going to want to use. Moving on to irregular right now. We're looking at, for non-painfuls, are going to be endometrial hyperplasia, endometrial polyps. These are kind of pretty much straightforward. You're just going to want to check for those. You can have issues with these if you have granulosa cell tumors. Granulosa cell tumors are going to be secreting estrogen. estrogen is going to cause release or cause a growth of endometrial without the possibility of progesterone. So you're going to give progesterone for these to fix. Painfuls, adenomyosis and adhesions. Adenomyosis, boom, right there. So it could either be heavy or it could just be irregular. They can describe it different ways in the question stems. Adenomyosis will be associated with a tender uterus. Adenomyosis. You will also have it, they'll present this also not painful during sex. The keyword for adenomyosis. Adhesions. We're looking at potentially a fixed retroverted uterus. Be on the lookout for that. Some other things that I didn't mention on here. Menometrorrhagia. It also can be describing fibroids. This is bleeding in between. Menometrorrhagia can also be endometrial hyperplasia. It can also be PID, pelvic inflammatory disease, Neisseria gonorrhea, chlamydia. Postmenopausal vaginal bleeding. That's going to be the question stem. You are either going to be looking at endometrial cancer or endometrial hyperplasia. They're not listed on here because they are very rare, or they were rare in the questions. But endometrial cancer, endometrial hyperplasia. And the last thing, I guess, would be touching back on the adenomyosis. The presentation will say it gets worse right around menses. And there will be like a non-focal thickening of the myometrium. So that is pretty much it. I hope this helped. This was really just a really shotgun approach about how to look at menses when you're looking at a repro question year 2. So I hope that helped.